What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Nerd Gen Report. I'm your host, Pablo, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Brian Schultz. Shout outs to Will Beats. He calls Brian the professor. And he watches the show, so shout outs to him. And he's a big Superman fan. Like big Superman. He can't wait for this movie. He don't care about nothing negative that's being said. He's like, this movie is gonna be fantastic. I'm actually gonna go to the movies to the IMAX to hopefully get a ticket to see Superman with him and perhaps even do a show with him, because he's like, you're talking about excited, Brian. This guy's excited. So shout outs to him. But getting back into the DC world, the Elseworld, Batman 2 updates, delays and possibly major changes in what this will be. We have a couple of options, Brian, and we haven't discussed it, but I'm pretty sure we'll come to the same conclusions and perhaps surprising ones of possibilities of what could happen with Batman 2. What's going on with this movie?
Pretty wild week of news and rumor. So we know that this movie has taken a lot longer to get going than expected. There's the constant reference to Matt Reeves working on the script being almost done, but then somehow Safran and Gunn haven't seen it. The shoot keeps getting delayed. Remember, Andy Serkis first told us it was going to be shooting now, first quarter of 25. Then we heard Robert Pattinson was told, clear your calendar for winter 2025. Now, latest one is they pushed the shoot into 2026. And then came a wild story that actually, and we had speculated is some of this because Matt Reeves and James Gunn are sort of a little bit at odds over what to include in the story for Elseworlds Batman versus future DCU Batman and Brave and the Bold and all that. But then came a new wrinkle this week, that a rumor that Matt Reeves is dealing with personal issues, which then became he might be dealing with serious health issues. I'm not going to name the scooper. Go Google it if you want to see the scoop, because I personally think it was irresponsible. But something was insinuated that Matt Reeves is in a, quote, Chadwick Boseman type of situation, which would clearly be a reference to a very serious life-threatening illness, which has not only recently come to light. And that is actually what's preventing this movie from moving forward, to the point where a report surfaced that Warner Brothers may be looking to replace Reeves as a director to try to just get this thing going, because they need to change and move forward with their ultimate plans for Batman. So nothing good for a movie that's supposed to come out in the fall of 2027, but has been delayed multiple times. And now we have this variable that we don't really know, can't really substantiate, but the idea that Matt Reeves might be ill or facing some kind of health issue and might have to be taken off the project as a result.
And I texted you, will they Zack Snyder him? It looks like a possibility. You've mentioned one of the possible outcomes of this, Brian, of us getting a Batman 2 and Matt Reeves not being behind it. The only difference is between that and this is that this movie hasn't been shot.
Correct. Which is a critical, as we've been talking about with Daredevil, as you mentioned with Zack Snyder's Justice League, it is a critical difference that there has not been a frame shot by Reeves yet.
Let's look at the pros and the cons of this possibility. The pro is that they haven't shot it. There's obviously, I don't know if we have a script. We probably have something close to a script in terms of a finality of that script, or a draft at least. Another pro, I don't know how other people may feel about this, but perhaps the movie may feel, perhaps not look, but feel different than Batman 1, which is a good thing as well, I think. Whether it's good or bad, I don't know. I don't think people responsible for this movie will let that be the case. But I think that another pro of that is it'll be different. It'll feel different. But in terms of Again, visually probably similar in terms of tone, but in terms of the storytelling, the pacing of it all, and that to me is important. The only issue with that is that whomever they get to replace Matt Reeves, if they do that, is now you have executives in the room, and Matt Reeves is no longer what Matt Reeves was doing, which he was in control of what was going to be seen by the audience, will be in the hands now of executives of WB.
Granted, not the same ones, but I hear you. The tiebreaker here is money, as it always is. There's only so long that David Zaslav can afford to allow Batman to sit on the shelf, period. Nothing else really, at the end of the day, comes before that. I am actually a little surprised, and I think it's because the first movie was so good and so well received, that they've given Reeves the latitude they have to push this back over 2 years at this point. I do not think they will allow it to go much further. They may, because if there is something that necessitates a director change now, they maybe this moves back from like October to Christmas of 2027. But I think there will be Batman 2 coming out in 2027. It just may not be Matt Reeves directing it. Look, clearly that's a loss from a creative standpoint. I mean, he had a vision for 3 movies. There's no question. So to not see that through, if it in fact he can't see that through, or the studio decides they can't wait for him to see that through, would be very unfortunate. But I think I'm actually, when I saw the thing about shifting the plans, I do think that's very real. I do think Zaslav is literally looking at this from a cash and a money perspective and saying, here's as much as I'm willing to give. And if he's not ready, or his health won't allow him to be ready, or whatever the reason, the story's not right, like, we're going. So that begs the question of what then? Who comes in, who picks up the pieces, and how they solve this? I think story-wise, this is pretty obvious. James Gunn is going to script doctor this. What else? What other outcome is possible? They need this done fast. This is a guy who writes fast. He's in the building. I don't care if he's tonally different, which we know is a risk. He's going to be the guy who says he takes the 90% done script, because it is supposedly 90% done, and he tweaks it. And by the way, that will mean that he wins whatever. If there was any creative push-pull, he's going to win. Like he'll structure it so that it makes sense with whatever they want to do. But I think that's the logical thing for story. For director, that's trickier because it's Batman. You can get some big name people who might want to take that call. But would they take that call knowing that the world's already been built? They don't get to start from scratch. It's not their Batman. They're kind of picking up the pieces. So my nominee is actually closer to home. I would have Craig Zobel do it because he directed the first, I think he directed 3 or 4 of the episodes of The Penguin. That, to me, that's the if you want this to look and feel like the Batman, I think you have to find someone who's already been in the stable and worked in the world. And he's the most accomplished filmmaker who worked on The Penguin. So that's the guy, because you need it done quick. You can't have somebody being like, I need a storyboard and rethink. Like, you need someone who's like, I get it, I'm coming in.
You think that conversation is happening with Matt Reeves?
Yes. I think it's been happening, right? I mean, let's just, again, health is wild speculation. You're speculating about someone's well-being. Like, that's not really for us to really do at length. So all we can do is say, if that's true on any level, that's a conversation that's been ongoing. Now, the question is, did Matt Reeves not, like, he was at the Penguin premiere. Like, you can find an interview with Matt Reeves where he's on the red carpet at the Penguin premiere. And that's not that long ago. That's the summer of 2024. So was the studio aware? If there was something going on with him, was the studio aware of it? And if not, when did they become aware? They're clearly aware now, if that's out in the ether. So yes, I think it's an ongoing conversation. I think it's a Zaslav, Gunn, and Safran conversation of where's the balance between respect for the creator and we need Batman. We need him yesterday. We need the money now. I mean, I do think, weirdly, in all this interconnectedness, Matt Reeves might have gotten a little bit of a, I don't know if it's a saving grace or whatever, but if it's something that could be resolved, let's say it is a health issue or a personal issue, but it could be resolved, he may have gotten a little bit of an assist from Minecraft, right? Minecraft is going to be $1 billion movie that was not expected to be $1 billion movie.
That's crazy.
That buys time. That's cash in the door they weren't counting on. That is every one of these wins. You just look at it, they go to the same place, which is it's buying David Zaslav time. right? Maybe it took a little pressure off Superman. Maybe it took a little pressure off Batman. But, that these are all interconnected on some level. But I don't think Batman 2 goes to 2029 or anything like that. This thing is coming out, I think, by the end of 2027, whether he directs it or not.
The other outcome is that now you don't have this conversation about if they decide to go there. I don't know, because I don't know if they don't do the Batman 2 and go with James Gunn's DCU, because again, I feel like you're leaving money on the table if you don't do Batman 2, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. That's too much risk. It takes too long. Again, they could not get Batman 2. They couldn't get Brave and the Bold ready by the end of 2027. So now you really, at that point, if you're willing to wait 2 more years to get any Batman, what's the point of that? This thing is coming out.
But like you said, that problem of ideas is perhaps no longer there, maybe.
I think the question would be, is there a part 3? Because if Matt Reeves is not involved anymore, do you need to do a third one?
Given how long it takes for these things to get done, and we need to make money now. I'm sorry.
Well, it also kind of like I understand that Batman is money, right? So if Batman Part 2 comes out and makes $1.2 billion, you probably are going to make Part 3 for no other reason than the money. But if it comes out and it's kind of about the same as the last one, and you're like, hey, I'm going to get moving on Brave and the Bold, and I got my new DCU Batman coming in, maybe you just focus on that. And then this becomes a 2-parter, which would be a shame, but that's at least a question. This one's happening because it's too far into the pre-pro process and they need it. But
do you want to go into the new name?
The guy who's lobbying and trying to compete with Alan Ritchson for this job. I think, let's talk about it, because he's been pretty vocal and pretty active. And I actually don't think that's the right role for him. I think there's a different one that he should be competing for. But so Brandon Sklenar, Sklenar, who's the star of 1923.
Yes. I was watching some clips. I went to YouTube. I saw the best clips of Brandon Sklenar.
Yeah.
And listen, we got Keaton. We got Clooney. We got Val, rest in peace. We've had different individuals take on the role, and all are different in their own way. You mentioned a specific character, which he sort of gives you the same vibes as a young Hugh did. How tall is he?
He's not super short. I can't tell. I think he's about like 5'11", 6 feet. But like he's got at least in 1923, he plays the rough edge, few words, no nonsense character very well. And that's why I said, even though he's lobbying, and look, he does appear in a tuxedo and he looks great in a tuxedo. So that's where people are lobbying. He's lobbying for the Bruce Wayne. But I'm saying, in terms of affect, the way he plays 1923, he actually is more Wolverine if you're going to do a comics character. Although I would say the character...
He's a tall dude. 6'2".
So I agree with you, because Hugh's about the same. But I would say this. The character he's born to play, ironically, is not in superheroes. I didn't text this one to you because there's a scene in 1923 where he's actually wearing something that looks like the costume, and he looks perfect. He's Indiana Jones.
Oh, snap. Yes.
And in 1923, he's sharing the screen with Harrison Ford in the finale, and he's wearing a jacket and the hat that looks just like Indiana Jones, except maybe like a winter style coat. That's your new Indiana Jones. Forget Chris Pratt. This guy would be 100 times better.
Hopefully Harrison Ford agrees.
100 times better. I'm telling you, this would work. This guy can do that.
Yeah. Listen, the guy that needs to be Batman is Alan Ritchson, hands down, no question. Yeah, this is like, sure, can this guy play it? Absolutely. It makes sense in terms of height, voice. There's a lot of he has a lot of characteristics and qualities for the Bruce Wayne character, no question. Can he play Bruce Wayne? I don't know. I haven't seen that yet. I have seen it in Alan Ritchson. If you see Blue Mountain State, although he's playing dumb, and I think that's what Bruce Wayne. He's playing dumb. He's laughing, and Alan Ritchson can play Bruce Wayne. Forget Batman. Because Batman, we already know. But Bruce Wayne, for me, is the thing I need to see be done well. There has to be that duality between them so that us as the audience can be in on the, not necessarily be in on the joke, but be as clueless as the people he interacts with in his daily life as Bruce Wayne. And then believe he can be this other guy when he transforms. We need to see that transformation.
Bruce Wayne, most of the time, is more the acting than Batman is. Now, I have to say, I give Robert Pattinson a lot of credit because I think he brought real acting subtlety to Batman in the Batman. He's Batman so much, but the way he moves, like at the crime scene, the way I think he did the best job of any Batman of acting as Batman. It's funny, we were talking about the passing of Val Kilmer, and I know Val Kilmer expressed how miserable he was as Batman. Because as we know, Val Kilmer was the consummate actor's actor, right? That's what he wanted to do. And so he hated being Batman because of Batman. Yeah. And I think he has a line maybe in a book or something where he said, everyone grows up wanting to be Batman, not wanting to play Batman. And I think that's a fair statement of Batman. But you're right, Bruce Wayne's a character. I would say the thing I noticed about Ritchson that, the way Reacher is written, he's sort of like a Sherlock Holmes level intellect as a detective. And that's where you see that aspect of Bruce Wayne, where Ritchson is at the crime scenes and he's observing these details that no one else sees. But then the way he says it when he reveals his knowledge is, to me, very of a piece with, if you think about, for example, like in the animated series, when Batman or Bruce would reveal how they were a step ahead, they would kind of like point out these 2 or 3 things that no one else saw along the way, right? And he does that in every episode of Reacher. I'm like, that is Bruce Wayne and Batman Master Detective. So, yeah. So we ride for that. And like I said, Sklenar can be the next Indiana Jones, and I will be glad to see that. Because we do need Indiana Jones back in our lives at some point, and not with a de-aged Harrison Ford. So.
Yeah, I was watching the last one, which it's not everybody, but some people said it was okay. Did you like it?
Let's put it this way. It was better than I expected, but my expectations were low. And the end of it is kind of just out there.
I just couldn't watch the whole de-aging thing. It just didn't.
It didn't. Did you think it looked terrible? I thought it looked better than I thought it was going to look. He looked better than I thought he was going to look de-aged.
The thing is that if I notice it, it takes away already immediately from me.
Okay.
That's why the Mandalorian, the Luke Skywalker joint, that to me was masterfully done. Not the first time he appears.
The deep fake of it when they redid it?
The second season, the season that he was in it, when he was sort of training, but not the initial his initial appearance. His initial appearance didn't look that great, but it was memorable in that it was Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
But then a deep fake came out of somebody who didn't work for them that did it better.
Yeah.
And they hired him to do the
third season or the 2.5 season. Where he's training him. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that to me was dope. But this, I can tell. Even I was watching funny enough, I was watching Endgame yesterday. And I was watching Howard Stark, and they sort of the age, but you don't notice, and it was done very well.
The other, we forgot to mention the other thing in the whole Batman delay and what's going on is Pattinson himself, right? So Pattinson is now the lead villain of Dune Messiah for Warner Brothers, right? So you look at the timing of that responsibility. He has some shooting responsibilities with the Odyssey right now. He's not one of the top characters, but he's doing that for Nolan. And then he's the lead villain in Dune Messiah. He could do Batman, but probably not on the timeline that he was originally going to do Batman. So his point is he's filling up his calendar. It kind of tells you his belief in this project is lower right now. It's just sort of like, I don't know when it's happening. That's kind of a signal, right? Actor does that. It means I'm sure of this one project. It's happening. This other one, I'm contractually obligated to do it, but I don't know when it's happening. So. But listen, for Robert Pattinson, though, I mean, it's big stuff, right? I mean, he continues his ascent as a major force, right? He's doing a part in the Odyssey. Now he's the lead villain of the next Dune movie for Denis Villeneuve. And yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you take that? That's a big deal.
Let us know in the comment section below what you guys think of what's going on with Batman, the Batman 2, and what you think may happen.
Is there anyone else you think could direct it that you would want to see, that would direct Batman Part 2, not direct Brave and the Bold?
If I had to just throw a name out, I don't know. I mean, the only name that comes to mind, and not to say, I don't know if he's a Batman fan or not, but I liked the movie when I saw it in terms of the aesthetic and how it was shot, was the guy that did The Creator.
Oh, Gareth Edwards.
Okay, yeah.
Interesting.
But I don't know.
I mean, he's finishing Jurassic, or has finished Jurassic, so technically I guess he'd be available. Yeah.
Yeah. But I want people who know the text to do this. If they don't know and they're just coming in to do something, sure, they have to be serious about it. Like, if you don't know anything, but and you say, I don't want to see any comic books, then you're not the right guy for me. I'm sorry. You know? Or even, I don't know if they're entertaining a female director, but whomever takes on that role needs to needs to be a Batman consumer, or begin to consume and understand who the character is and needs to be, in order for us, the fans, to sort of realize a Batman from the comics, ripped out straight from the comics and onto screen, in terms of his abilities, in terms of his intellect, and his ability to be Bruce Wayne, and people not having a clue who Batman is. I don't need to see. I'm tired of people. Like, I go crazy when I watch Spider-Man and he takes his mask off for no reason sometimes. And in Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, he's going in the tunnel and he's taking off his mask. Like, yo, nobody's around. Why are you taking it off? Drives me crazy when these people reveal themselves. And it's like, I don't need to see that aspect of it. Let that be part of the thing of him trying to conceal that situation, you know?
It's a tricky thing, too, because this particular iteration of Batman, the type of director you want is, to me, much more of like a dramatic director, a thriller director. It's less an action director. This has not really been, right? So people are I'm sure people, if they haven't already, will be like, oh, I want Chad Stahelski, right? Or somebody like John Wick. Like, that's not really what this Batman is. Like, you want somebody who focuses and excels in suspense, right? Who excels in the darkness, who really focuses on like this visual palette and slow burn type of scenes. Like, the problem is finding someone like that who's studio friendly is tricky. So like David Fincher could clearly do it, director of Seven, as an example. But David Fincher, you thought Matt Reeves does a lot of takes. David Fincher is the man for takes. Supposedly the first scene of Social Network, they shot 90 times, the first monologue exchange between Jesse Eisenberg and Kate Mara, or Rooney Mara. Supposedly they did that 90 times. And the take you see in the movie is like take 87 or something. So you can't have that on a movie where you're on that kind of time crunch. So that's why I was trying to think of like, okay. And then I just sort of settled on Zobel because I was like, well, he's directed some successful movies and TV for Warner's, that he did The Penguin. And we loved The Penguin. We felt The Penguin was like of a piece with the Batman, but just different enough. I'm like, that to me, that seems like the easy and affordable and practical solution. The only thing is, like, you know, Reeves is kind of genius level in certain areas, and you're just not going to have that behind the camera. And we may feel that. We may see that.
Yeah.
I mean, what you don't want is a Brett Ratner this, right? This is you do not want that to happen to this series.
Not like this.
Oh, man. Let us know in the comment section below, who would you want to be as Batman? I'm pretty sure nobody thinks about it, because there are a few favorites, obviously. There's Alan Ritchson and now this guy. So I don't know who else has a different, like you know, a serious selection for who could possibly play this, and I don't want to hear Jake Gyllenhaal. Imagine Jake Gyllenhaal's voice as Batman, yo.
I happen to know that you haven't stayed at one station for longer than 2 years at a time, and you're coming up on 2 years soon.
That's what John Campbell be calling out all the time, and his people. Jake Gyllenhaal as Batman. Really, yo? Listen to that.
I happen to know that you haven't stayed at one station.
Yeah, let us know in the comments below what you guys think, and we'll see you next time on the Nerd Report.